Is liberty dying where you live? Escape to Keene at freekeene.com.
Take it off.
Is that a lawful request?
Yes, it is.
It's a law? Can you show me that?
It's a court rule.
It's a court rule?
Yes.
So it's not a law? It's a
No,
request?
it's a court rule. Take your hat off.
A request.
Leave the courtroom if you're not going to take your hat off. Leave the courtroom if you're not going to take your hat off.
Sir, I'm not causing disturbance, I just want to say.
Sir, you need to take your hat off or leave the courtroom.
You don't need to yell at me.
I'm not yelling, that's my normal tone of voice.
Okay.
Please remove your hat or leave the courtroom.
I was a business officer. It's a law.
Let the judge make that decision if you don't mind. If you
Okay?
don't mind, let the judge make that decision.
Everyone stay in and watch the proceedings. Just simply comply and you get along fine.
Just trying to support a friend.
You can support them. I'm asking you to take the gum out of your mouth. I'm asking. Now, if you don't want to be politely take it out of your mouth, then we'll go.
All right.
Is that what we're going to enforce that on them?
It's up to be determined.
Will you use force against me?
I'm asking you to take the gum out of your mouth.
I would prefer to continue chewing if I could.
Hey, off.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, just that.
Court now, back to session.
All right, thank you, maybe so. Sergeant Anderson, the state's ready for trial?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can take the stand. If you raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you.
I do.
All right, maybe so. You may proceed.
My name is Sergeant Edward Anderson. My last name is spelled A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N. I'm currently employed by the town of New London. Currently hold the title as Sergeant. I've been so employed since 1998 as a patrolman. I received my first training in 1995 from the town of Goshen, where I'm still currently employed and hold the title of Chief of Police. My first part of my training was to attend the part-time academy. I became a certified part-time police officer, and then attended a radar course put on by the state of New Hampshire. At that time, it was a 16-hour course. I attended that course and completed it and was certified in the use of radar. At this time, I'd like to enter into evidence my radar certification, which the defendant has your own.
Objection.
All right, want to stand and tell me what objection you have?
The objection I have is that I have the right to face my accuser. There's a signature on there, on that piece of paper, from a, well, I don't know, it's signed in such a fashion that I can't tell. I should be able to face that person. If that person's in the court, then I'll withdraw my objection. But he's not here, but I can ask him questions, and I request that that not be entered into evidence.
I'll allow you to cross-examine the witness regarding his testimony that he received certification in the use of Doppler radar, but over your objection, I'll allow the exhibit in. We mark the state's exhibit 1.
Then I have a piece of evidence that I'd like to enter in.
Please stand, please, when you address the court. I'll give you a chance to present whatever evidence you want to and testify in your own behalf, or present whatever exhibits you have when the state's rested, and it's your opportunity to present your side of the case. You may continue.
I was then certified as a full-time patrol officer in 1998 from the 117th Police Academy. Attending that academy, part of the curriculum is to take that radar class again. So I took that class for a second time and again passed that class for use of radar. On the date and time of the complaint, I was on duty for the town of New London. I was assigned to patrol that day. At the beginning of my shift, Your Honor, I checked my cruiser radar to make sure that it was working properly. This is through the use of tuning forks. On that day, my radar was checked, internal as well as with tuning forks, and it was found to be working properly. The radar is certified, and I'd like to enter into evidence the certification of the radar.
Same objection.
All right, and you received copies of the certificate of calibration regarding the radar and the 2 tuning forks dated October 6th, 2010.
Yes, I have
You
numerous
have
certifications.
Objection is sustained as to that exhibit.
Your Honor, if I could approach.
Excuse me?
Can you get this back to me?
I sustain the objection to that document coming into evidence, but you may continue.
My radar was found to be working properly. I was on Route 11 at approximately 10:25 a.m. traveling westbound. I would ask the court to take judicial notice that Route 11 at the time the weather is away.
I'll take judicial notice that Route 11 is a public way. I'm familiar with Route 11.
And at that time, Your Honor, I was traveling westbound, coming into the Four Corners intersection. That's where the Farmers Pub is, as well as where Main Street meets Route 11. And at that time, I observed a single vehicle traveling eastbound at what I felt was a very high rate of speed. Observing this, I activated my radar unit and got a clear audible tone as well as a clock of 52 miles an hour, that being in the posted 35 mile an hour zone. There was no other vehicles in the radar zone of influence at that time traveling west or eastbound. Observing that violation, I reversed my cruiser and pursued after the defendant, who seated at the defendant's table in a suit with a white shirt and a tie. Upon pulling him over, I explained to him why he was being stopped. It was for 52 miles an hour in the 35 zone. And at that time, he had no reason for the speed. He was polite. I issued a summons for the speed, Your Honor. Looking at my radar cert, Your Honor, I noticed that this citation was issued before. This was certified. I believe I had a second.
I have an objection.
Certification.
Hold on a second. What are you saying?
I believe I had a second copy of this the prior radar certification in my bag, if you'd like to see that.
You wish to
Yes, Your Honor.
retrieve some documents?
Is it here?
I'll allow you to do that.
I apologize, Your Honor. I issued the next certification on the radar showing that it was certified. After that, it was still found to be working properly. I do have my certification for the time period of the traffic stop, if you'd like to see this on the radar.
So you're offering this into evidence now?
Yes, Your Honor. I have given you one that was certified after this.
And this is a radar certificate of calibration dated October 1st, 2009. Did you provide this to the defendant in discovery?
Yes, Your Honor. He has every copy from when we actually have the radar. I am in charge of the radar units. This radar has not been taken out of service. It has been working properly since we've had it, and it's been certified every year since it's been put into service.
And when was that?
I'm not sure how long that radar has been in service, Your Honor. It's been quite a few years.
All right.
I object to that.
All right, do you want to stand and tell me what your
I'm
objection
sorry,
is?
my objection is that I, of course, have the right to face my accuser. There are signatures on that certification that I cannot interview those people up here, and so therefore, I request that not be entered into the evidence.
All right. Well, based upon if that's the objection, it's overruled, and the exhibit will be marked and admitted as states 2. It's a 3-page exhibit, certificate of calibration regarding the radar unit in question, and 2 certificates regarding tuning forks. Did you make some use of those tuning forks or just the radar unit?
At the beginning of my shift, Your Honor, I checked the radar with the tuning forks. It was found to be working properly as well as the beginning of my shift.
All right.
I would bring your attention, Your Honor, to that intersection. We've had numerous fatals over the year, a lot of serious motor vehicle accidents. The state actually re-engineered the road in that location because of the amount of accidents and the excessive speeds coming through that intersection. 52 miles an hour at 17 over, in my opinion, is very dangerous for that location. After seeing that, Your Honor, the citation was issued. Because the radar is ±2 in the moving road, I took it down to 50 miles an hour as opposed to 5212.
Okay.
Your Honor, that would be a state's case.
All right. You may cross-examine Sergeant Houston, ask him any questions you may have regarding this matter or his testimony. If you think there's more he knows about all this. Again, you may question from the table by standing. If you don't have any questions for the witness, I'll allow him to step down and we can testify if you wish.
I have some questions.
Go right ahead.
So, before we get started today, it's your understanding that I have the right to a fair trial in here, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you, will your word be believed by the court or the judge any more than mine?
Well, that's for me to decide. It's not a fair question.
Do we
for
start,
the witness.
do we start on an equal playing field?
That's not an appropriate question for the witness.
Is that a handgun on your head?
Yes.
I have an objection. The witness here, he was allowed to bring a handgun into court. I had a 1-inch knife taken from me. That, to me, shows a corroboration on a systemic level between the executive and judicial.
Well, that's not related to the charge of speeding, so I'm going to allow the witness to
So I have a
testify.
motion.
You can go ahead and
Can I motion to dismiss?
Based on what?
Based on a prejudice by the judicial towards the executive in this and all cases, systemic level.
That motion would be denied. You can cross-examine the witness regarding his testimony.
Okay, so what direction was I heading?
Eastbound.
And how far away were you from me approximately when you noticed?
I'd say the line of sight in the area as I come up to the top of the hill is probably around 100 yards.
So I was coming down the hill, is that right?
No, you were right in the center of the four corners.
Okay. Was your car radio or any other communication devices running while you were using this radio device?
I don't, I mean, the Motorola radio that we used to talk to headquarters is on, but I don't know if I had a radio on. I'm assuming it probably did.
When you took this certification course, did they inform you that certain communication devices can cause interference with the radar device?
Yes, and the radar will let us know if it is.
And the radar let you know?
There's no issues like that.
That you know, because it hasn't been serviced, right? It has not yet been serviced, is that right?
What has not been serviced?
The radar unit.
What do you mean by has not been serviced?
You've never taken it in for repair or anything, it's just been certified, is that correct?
Correct, it's working properly.
What time of day did you say this was?
Roughly 10:25.
I have an objection. Are you using notes?
Checking my sons.
I have a right to independent recollection here. He should remember.
And
this.
objections to state, you should testify from your memory. If you can't remember something and you're not sure of the answer, you can indicate. But you should not be referring to your notes or any report when you answer a question until permission is given.
What were the weather conditions on that?
I believe it was clear.
Dry?
Yes.
And keep your voice up. Mrs.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Yeah, same here. So it's clear and dry. Is it your opinion that during certain times of the day and under certain weather conditions that one's speed can be at a safe speed higher or lower? I mean, can weather conditions affect safety on the road as far as speed goes?
Yes.
Is it your opinion that the highest safe speed through that intersection in any condition by any driver is 35 miles an hour?
Well, as people, certain conditions go through there before you have one stop.
You'd call that safe?
Yes.
So you'd say that, it's people's vision, their age, perhaps, physical conditions can cause them to be able to handle a car at higher rate of speed?
I assume so, yes.
So, was I conducting my vehicle in a safe manner through that intersection?
No, because of your speed.
So when you pulled me over to the side of the road, you got flashing lights going, and you're just past the white line there, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you think that creates some kind of hazard, either from a visual, perceptual, or even in a real sense for drivers on the road?
Not in applications for staff, no.
Do police officers get killed in the United States by being hit on the side of the road?
Yes, we have a dangerous
And cars get, do police cars get hit and people that are pulled over get hit during traffic stops?
Yes.
So, I mean, the evidence would say that maybe it is dangerous to pull somebody over on the side of the road, right?
Depends on conditions.
Sure. So it's, I was going through the intersection in an unsafe fashion. By the time he got me, I was past the intersection,
Yes.
past doing whatever was unsafe. If I was doing whatever was unsafe. And then you did something that was unsafe also, is that correct?
I felt I conducted myself appropriately and I did not put anybody at risk.
What evidence do you have that I, the person standing here in front of you, am in fact the guy that you saw on the cover?
Talking to you on the roadside.
So you recognize my face?
Yes.
You're familiar with, of course, twins and people who look like other people, right?
Absolutely.
So I could be conceivably somebody else. My ID has not been checked at this point, and you do not know who I am.
Your physical characters, your voice, everything is what I remember that day at the traffic stop.
So you remember my face. Do you remember what color my car was?
I don't right now.
Do you remember the color of the car that was in front of me on the roadway?
It wasn't a crime.
Again, I remind a witness to keep your voice at my
Sorry,
side.
I have allergy.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
I know it's that time of the year. Try to remember to keep your voice up.
The car behind me?
There was no car behind me. I was able to turn around and unobstructed and pursue that.
I agree. Do you remember if there was a passenger in my car?
There was no passenger in the car.
Do you remember anything distinctive about my car?
Small car.
You don't remember the color. Do you remember the condition of paint?
It was an older car, and I believe that it was fading, if I remember correctly.
Do you know if the vehicle had rims or wheels or specialized wheels, or if it had hubcaps or anything
I
like
do
that?
not.
Are you familiar with Section 10A of the New Hampshire Constitution?
I've read the Constitution verbatim one.
It's called the right to revolution, and it is the highest law in the land. And I guess I would question this. If the New Hampshire Constitution has the right to revolution in it, then I would have the right to revolt. And then how would one, if I have that right, then how would one enforce laws against me?
Well, that's not a proper question on cross-examination for this
Did he
witness.
swear an oath to the Constitution? He's the law enforcement
I'm
officer.
not going to permit that question of
Okay.
this witness on cross-examination. You make, it's not an appropriate question for cross-examination of this witness.
Got it. The rest?
No other questions?
I have none.
Let me
Thank you.
step down. Thanks very much. Anything else from the state? State's case, state rests?
Yes, sir.
All right. As intended, you may testify if you wish. You have the right to remain silent. You're not required to testify or prove anything, or if you wish to take a stand and testify, come right up and then I'll permit you to testify.
So the only way for me to enter verbal evidence. I'm sorry.
That's all right, yeah.
The only way for me to enter verbal evidence into the record is to testify as that is.
If you wish, you have the right to remain silent. The state has the burden of proof. You're not required to prove anything. But if you wish to testify, I'm required to have you take a stand, be sworn in, and be subject to cross-examination, just as Sergeant Anderson was. It's up to you. You get to decide whether you want to testify or not.
I'm a Quaker. I will not swear, but I will affirm.
That's fine. Are you affirming, and is it your oath that you're telling the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Excuse me?
Oh, yes.
You may be seated. I'll ask you to state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record.
My name is Mark Edgington. It's spelled Edgington. And my address is 63 Emerald Street, number 506, Keene, New Hampshire, 03431.
Okay, what would you like to say about the morning of September 19th in New London?
Specifically, I would like to say that there are some factual errors in Edward Anderson's testimony here. I did, in fact, have a passenger in my car. There was, in fact, a car ahead of me. That car was maroon. The passenger in my car was my mother. We were on the way to a Scottish Highland festival in a town in New Hampshire.
Sure.
And, so therefore, I'm of the opinion that Sergeant Anderson makes a lot of traffic stops, a lot of bases. And he can't remember the instances of everything that happens. And he doesn't recall. It was almost a year ago at this point. And I made a motion that we dismiss this because I don't like using the term incompetent. I'm sure that Sergeant Anderson is very competent. But he doesn't recall this instance.
That's a motion to
That's a motion to
dismiss?
dismiss.
Well, there's no basis for me to grant that motion during your testimony.
Okay, it's the wrong time to do it.
Well, there's been no basis to grant it, period. It's denied. You may continue. If you have any
I
else.
made my statement, I can reiterate that he's got factual errors in this.
All right. Anything else you want to say about it?
I, at some point, want to make a motion that regarding the ticket, but I'll have to make a motion.
All right. So no other testimony.
That's correct.
Any questions then for the defendant? You may step down. Thank you. All right. You have any other witnesses to present regarding this matter?
No, my mother's in Florida.
All right. You have a motion?
Yes,
Will you stand, please? And I'll hear you.
the ticket is written in a fashion that I can't read. I suspect most people can't read. And I think that this is, one should print one's tickets so that the public can read it. If you're going to give a ticket to someone, they should be able to read all the evidence in front of them. This is what I was presented, and it is illegible, and I find that unacceptable.
Okay. And you received a copy of that ticket in discovery
That's correct.
from the police?
And I had one.
Excuse me?
And I had my own.
And he gave you one at the time?
Yeah.
The record will reflect that on May 3rd, a hearing was held on your motion for discovery. You indicated that you had received everything that you were seeking, that you were ready for trial. And this morning you indicated that you were ready for trial.
That's right.
If you had some difficulty reading any of the paperwork that was given you by the state in advance of trial, you should have indicated that you weren't ready or prepared for some reason because you couldn't read some of the paperwork or the
Pardon me,
plan.
I'm kind of new to this court thing.
But you answered ready for trial both at the time of the hearing on discovery and this morning. So your motion after trial, you now are able to read the charge against you, is not timely, and so it's denied.
Understood about the timeliness. What I'm really looking for here is I'm just looking for an opportunity to say that officers, when they issue tickets, should write in a legible fashion. I know that it's
No
busy
dispute
out there.
about that. Anything further?
I am,
Nothing else?
do have one last question, I'm sorry. I want to enter something into evidence.
Well,
It's too late?
It is.
Okay.
All right, then, if you would stand, please, Mr. Edgerton. The only evidence that I've heard in the case is that an experienced police officer, sergeant in the London Police Department, who was properly trained in the use of radar and certified in the use of radar, was operating properly working equipment that had been certified and checked earlier that day, again, to ascertain that it was working properly, and that based on this officer's use of that equipment, he clocked your vehicle operating at 52 miles an hour and a 35 mile per hour speed zone. The ticket was written charging you with speeding and operating at a speed of 50 and a 35. And that's pretty much the only evidence I've heard. If you find you guilty based upon the evidence presented in this case of speeding, the fine at that speed is $77.50, and so that's the sentence that I've imposed. I would ask you to stop at the window in the lobby of the clerk's office before you leave, so you can speak to the clerk. She'll go over all this with you.
I have a moral dilemma with paying the fine. May I do jail time?
You can speak to the clerk about that when you go around the window. Thank you. Take a short recess.
All rise, please. Court now standing in recess. You need to leave the courtroom, you may do so.
Think about your actions, guys. He's a good guy.
That I was going to be found guilty. I just don't want to make it easy for them. You know, they're supposed to prove in a court of law that I'm guilty, and that's what they should do. And
Are you going to pay the fine, or are you going to? No?
not unless they're going to suspend my license or something like that. I mean, I'm not going to do without a license for the rest of my life simply because I'm not willing to pay.
So
the
you
fine.
may risk the prison.
I will go to jail.
You will go to jail.
I will go to jail. Yeah.
And you talked about the revolution during your plea. Can you explain why did you mention that?
Oh, the right to revolution in the state of New Hampshire. There is codified in the state of New Hampshire's constitution a right to revolt. That right would, be endemic to all people in the state of New Hampshire. I stated I was in a state of revolt against the state of New Hampshire, and I don't know how they can hold me guilty. Yeah, I was found guilty.
Yes, and you have a fine.
You can just tell me in days and
Is liberty dying where you live? Escape to Keene at freekeen.com.
Usually the options are that you can have a time payment.
okay.
You can do community service. You can have, take care of it today. Or you can put some other motion before the court.
Well, I guess what I would prefer to do is just go to jail over it.
Go to jail?
Yes.
Okay.
It was the judge's order at the time.
I know, but you can act on your conscience as your own individual.
It's the judge's order, Pete.
Yeah, but just because someone that has a black robot says something, it doesn't make it right. There's a difference between legal and moral,
As long as I keep the safety in there, that's all.
I probably, I've got all those things. I have them like.
If we want to keep the safety, we should take the badges off these people that think they have extra rights. I mean, we've been around the country a few years and we've never had any problems with anybody except people with badges. They think they can be unaccountable for their actions and they just arrest you and harass
I
you.
look at it a little
cages.
differently because I see it in the courts a little differently.
Like, he was accused of going 15 miles faster than someone wearing a badge said he could go, and now he's going to go to jail for that. Do you think that's right?
If he's requesting.
Well, I'm sure he'd be-
serve jail time, there's other options. He can do community service, other options. This is his choice.
Tell me about this community service.
Pardon me?
Tell me about this community service.
Community service, you do 8 hours of community service for some nonprofit organization.
Just
And
any
that-
old nonprofit organization that's rated 501c3?
Yeah. So you would just have to fill out a request for that instead of this, to
Okay.
do community service in lieu of paying for the fine. And that's another option also. So it's your choice.
The difference between you is you respect the state and the police, and they want to suppress the government and the
Now,
state.
like
That's
I
the
say,
difference.
When we loot police are made up of individuals, okay? Everybody is an individual, everybody's human, everybody makes their mistakes. in this year, in this job, I've run into at least a half a dozen times where I've had to put handcuffs on what used to be police officers. Everybody makes mistakes. We're all human.
So you mean when they are violent, it's because the person is not good enough trained or has no...
It isn't that. It isn't that. Everybody, I've had police officers that's had their own issues, that's come to court on their own issues. We're all human. We all make mistakes.
And that's right, and that's why we're advocates of like changing the institution, because the institution today protects cops because they judge themselves.
I don't see it that way, but that's just...
I mean, everyone's paid for by the same folks, and that's people who earn money, you know, it's stolen money.
Usually in Keene, the homeless shelter is one, and the community kitchen.
There's a dime a dozen for not-for-profits. I mean, you don't think my volunteer fire department is a not-for-profit?
Good point.
And they protect themselves, you know, they set the reality in the courtroom.
So 8 hours community service?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Well said, gentlemen.
I'm still sort of adrenaline shaken by the whole thing.
Were you pleased with your objections being sustained, at least a couple?
I had a couple of objections sustained, but I mean, it doesn't...
It didn't pan out.
It means nothing to me. Yeah. You know, the rigmarole that goes between, the start and guilty doesn't matter to me. The result was what mattered, and the result was guilty.
We'd like to invite you to visit freekeene.com. Freekeene.com features audio, video, and blogs chronicling the transition to a voluntary society. Freekeene.com also has comments and discussion forums so you can be heard. Freekeene.com.
I should be in Keene, New Hampshire with the Free Staters.